Halakatuanto Kierakam Law Pacific Waves from RNZ Pacific Mikoroi Hawkins. Coming up, members of the Pasifika community in Porirua urge the council to act on their feedback, and later we speak with the first Pasifika woman to be appointed to a professorship in New Zealand. But first, there were dramatic scenes in Vanuatu's parliament on Wednesday evening as members of the opposition registered their disapproval with the outcome of a motion of no confidence against Prime Minister Ismail Kalsakau. After a vote by a show of hands, the clerk to parliament announced the motion had been defeated despite the opposition registering 26 votes in favour of the motion, the government 23 votes against and 1 abstention from the speaker. Vanuatu's constitution states that an absolute majority is needed to oust a prime minister, and this has been interpreted by the clerk to mean 27 MPs in the 52-member parliament, hence the motion being defeated. The opposition argue the decision was undemocratic given they had the support of more members on the day. The Speaker of Parliament, Seule Simeon, stuck to his guns, maintaining the motion had been defeated, and he urged the opposition to seek redress in the courts. RNZ Pacific will be following this story in the coming days. For the latest, head on over to our website, rnzi.com. The Porirua City Council is using a Pacific model to engage more with its Pasifika communities for planning purposes. Porirua City has the highest concentration of Pacific peoples outside of South Auckland. Moira Tuila-Patela has this report.
Senior Pacific Advisor with the City Council, Vanessa Granger, says the Council recognised that earlier efforts to bring in Pacific communities were just not working.
We wanted to do a different model that engages with our community rather than a stock standard town hall kind of engagement where you ask people to come and give their feedback on something. People don't come through the doors now, so we wanted to mobilise the community and put in an event that they'll come through the doors, and when they're here we ask them for their feedback.
The first such events put on by the Council was a Pacific night market on Friday last week, which saw hundreds of locals turn out to enjoy Pacific dishes, buy local crafts and add their feedback to the Council's Pacific strategy. Mrs. Granger says the Pacific community were vocal during an earlier Council event about what would bring in their communities.
We've created panels that are interactive rather than sit around the table, because when we do that, it's usually the same voices that speak all the time. So this allows them to provide feedback in a confidential way and be really honest and truthful in their feedback.
Cook Islands community leader Kitiona Tauira says people were sick of being consulted and having to go through another tick box activity.
Chairs sit down like a theatre and then just a one-way, one-traffic talk really. And a lot of our people will be too ashamed to sit, to stand up and give comment in a public setting and mix, diverse islands.
She says the Pacific Market event has been a success and she urges the Council to make use of all the feedback given to it. The event also included local community groups in Porirua. Anne Masoe of the Porirua Pasifika Community Patrol says it's great to see that a huge number of people came out for the Pacific Night Market. She says events like this also help organisations like hers bring in more volunteers.
We love these events, just getting out in the community and being visible and trying to coax some of our matuas out to come and help out, because we like to think that you can volunteer at any age.
And Masoe says Porirua has a number of NGOs on the ground doing amazing work in the community.
The law school at the University of Waikato in Kirikiriroa, Hamilton, has appointed a Samoan woman to a professorship, the first time a Pasifika woman has held such a role in New Zealand. The university has also appointed Fijian Unaisi Narawa as a lecturer in the law faculty. The Assistant Vice-Chancellor Pacific, Dr. Kea Kaukawai Vanahemi, says these appointments highlight the talent coming out of the Pacific communities. Tāwhao i Malo, Tolongata Professor Leilani Tuala Warren, has previously been an academic in Fiji and a Supreme Court judge in Samoa. She spoke with Don Wiseman, who began by asking what she'll be teaching at Waikato.
Well, at the moment, I'm teaching criminal law, which is a third-year paper, and also Pacific people and the law, which is a level 4 paper as well as a master's paper.
It's quite a change for you. You know, having come from most recently being a justice on the Supreme Court in Samoa, and through what must have been a very, very interesting time from a judicial point of view in Samoa with all the activity around the election.
Yes, it was an interesting time and challenging as well. So when that settled down, I thought the timing was perfect to come to New Zealand because my family had been living between two countries for 18 years. But the transition that you mentioned, that's been smooth and it's been a real eye-opener. In saying that, I've gone from not saying much in court to now speaking continuously for 2 hours at a time. So that's a big adjustment. But otherwise, the transition's going really well from the bench to teaching law now.
At the University of Waikato, are there many Pasifika law students?
Well, the numbers have been increasing. I came here for law school in the early 1990s, and there were just a handful of us. So the numbers have really increased in the last 10 years. And I think that really says a lot about the University of Waikato's policy of embracing Pasifika students. So, the numbers are really, really high at the moment, and we hope to retain those numbers.
Where do you see your role as a Pacific person working as a law professor at this New Zealand university? What is your role in terms of Pasifika people there?
Well, I've just been blessed to now call two countries home. And because of my Pasifika heritage, I will, of course, be trying to progress and advance the Pasifika students who are currently enrolled in the law school. Because, as I well know, we do face unique challenges when we come away to University in New Zealand, like homesickness and isolation. But in saying that, I feel that it is service to the community, and my community is now in Aotearoa, New Zealand. So I'm hoping not only to advance Pasifika students who are here, those who hope to come and study law at the University of Waikato, but for all law students who are here, hopefully providing them with an environment that is conducive to excellence in learning, as well as being accessible to them, because I think that's really important, to just be accessible as somebody they can call upon for all law students at the University of Waikato.
So you're teaching criminal law at the moment, but that's going to change? You're going to go into other areas, or what?
Yes, because it's my first sort of semester. I just started a few weeks ago. The teaching load will be added on. I'm probably going into other areas of criminal law, as well as trying to just increase what is taught within Pacific peoples and the law. For example, bringing in more of the constitutional challenges happening in the island nations in the Pacific, because Samoa was not the only Pacific nation to go through the constitutional challenges. And I think it's of interest to students studying law here at the University of Waikato, because they finally get a look into the constitutions of all Pacific nations, and most Pacific nations have entrenched constitutions, unlike New Zealand, which just has the New Zealand Bill of Rights Act. So it's that area I want to get into a little bit more.
And the judiciaries in a number of countries, as you touched on, have been troubled. And I'm thinking particularly most recently of Kiribati, where they're still not dealing with a backlog in cases because they actually don't have any judges. They don't have Supreme Court judges because the government disagreed with the decision and they got rid of the judges that they had. What is the sense about what needs to happen in a place like Kiribati?
Well, there has been for a few years now talk of judges from around the Pacific sitting in other Pacific nations, just having a pool of judges there. Let's hope, because this Kiribati situation is still ongoing, let's hope that it revives these questions and these issues so that they might be more receptive to judges from around the Pacific or in the neighboring Pacific nations coming in to assist, because it's very difficult not having that third arm of government. Everything seems to come to a standstill. So the hope is, and from an an outsider looking in, that those talks will recommence so that neighbouring Pacific Island benches can step in and assist.
Unaisi Narawa got her first degree from the University of the South Pacific, but is now in the last stages of a PhD from the University of Queensland. She told Don Wiseman these appointments will help engagement with the Pacific.
I think at this time, in terms of Pacific legal issues, Professor Leilani she's such a force when it comes to her career and how far she's come. And I'm very privileged to have been hired at the same time that she has, and even being put into that same category, saying that it's a game changer. And it really is, because it will help in terms of the university's engagement with the Pacific, actually having people in the university, especially in the faculty, who have worked in and are of Pasifika origin.
What are the most important things for you as you go into this new role?
I think that, I'm coming in with my Pasifika knowledge, but also being sensitive to the differences that exist. Oftentimes, we are put into this basket where we're homogenous when we in fact are not, and having to take a step back myself and being sensitive to especially legal issues that are pertinent to specifically the Indigenous people of New Zealand, and also being able to separate that from ones that deal specifically with the Pasifika people, and also just like in the next couple of months, it's just like learning. I'm going to be taking on everything and, just sort of trying to be a sponge in the next few months. But really, it is about being sensitive. That's the most important thing for me at this time.
That's Pacific Waves for today. There's more on our website, rnzi.com. Tofa Soifo.